Have you ever seen a cat trying to fit into a box which is actually much too small for its size, but the cat turns and twists until somehow manages to fit in? Well, this picture perfectly captures my journey as a professional gymnast. For years, I tried to force myself into the rigid box of elite gymnastics, bending and compressing my true self to match the sport's expectations. I thought I had finally succeeded when I stood on the podium in Milano holding my gold medal at the European Championships. It was the peak of fame and success I had strived for, the moment when all my sacrifices should have paid off. But instead, I felt nothing, just emptiness and deep exhaustion. By achieving my ultimate goal, I realized I had lost something far more precious, my sense of self. Little did I know that the true test of my strength would only lay ahead of me, not in mastering skills in gymnastics, but in reclaiming my identity. I started gymnastics when I was 4 years old as a solution to my hyperactivity. When faced with the recommendation to put me on medication, my mom thought, let's try sports first. And so I started water skiing and gymnastics. And my parents and my coach quickly recognized the natural talent in me. For me, however, I was simply having lots of fun and being able to put my hyperactivity into something I loved doing. I really liked the athletic part about gymnastics, such as jumping around, doing somersaults, running, twisting, and challenging my body to do new skills. And I soon needed the daily grind of training. The paradox, though, started early on in my career. I was far from being the obedient child one might expect. I was rebellious and stubborn, and my appearance and interests further challenged the stereotypical image of a female gymnast. I looked boyish, preferred biking and skateboarding to dancing, and I resisted wearing leotards in favor of comfy shorts and a t-shirt. Fortunately, my first coach was understanding, allowing me to be my true self despite not fitting the typical image of a female gymnast. So at the age of 13, I had to choose between competing at the European Championships in gymnastics or in water skiing. And for my rebellious, stubborn, and pushing boundary self, gymnastics seemed like the more challenging way to go. So I chose gymnastics and I moved away from my family's home to live with a host family and attended the national squad trainings. I was faced with adult responsibilities such as cooking my own meals, doing my own laundry, managing my life independently, which is a significant challenge for a young teenager. I attended a regular school, but only managed 2 lessons per day in person. The rest of the lessons had to be completed independently, which requires an amount of self-discipline far beyond that of my age. I trained 30 hours per week, and the concept of a day off became almost foreign to me, as even a short 2-week holidays would come at a high price, requiring me to train at least 3 months to regain the level I used to have before vacation. The pressure of maintaining a specific physique was constant and often cruel. Every Mondays we faced the dreadful weighings with our coach. If we didn't achieve the required weight, we got punished, forced runs, training bans, or enduring lectures about how overweight we were. And so, as my success grew and media attention increased, I found myself unconsciously molding my true self to fit the sport's expectations. I began to present myself as someone who loved dancing, embraced femininity and elegance, someone who cultivates the silhouette of a young girl combined with the muscular strength of an adult, someone who is intelligent yet obedient, a role model. And the more I strive to embody this idealized version of a gymnast, the further I drifted from exploring and developing my true self. At that time, I started to experience a series of symptoms, such as an overwhelming sense of fatigue, as if my battery was constantly running on low. My immune system began to run down, my body struggling to defend even minor infections. I started to experience cognitive issues, such as reading a text in the news and not being able to remember anything at the end of the text. My brain wasn't able to process nor to connect the content I just read with past experiences or emotions. And I began to feel numb. I knew I was hyped by little things, such as having coffee with my friends would leave me in a rush of emotions, but I just didn't feel no emotions anymore, no good ones nor bad ones. And so these symptoms built up slowly over a period of around 4 years. During this time, I pushed through attributing my symptoms to the normal pressure of elite sports. It wasn't until the end of this period when I finally got the diagnosis which would explain my experiences. Burnout. The diagnosis came as both a shock but also a relief. What I didn't know at that time was that athletes are actually 20% more likely to experience burnout compared to the normal population. So there I was, my body and brain sending clear signals which couldn't be ignored any longer. So I didn't have any other choice but to retire from gymnastics. Naive as I was, I thought I would take a break of 2 weeks and start into my next career full throttle. Of course, it took me much longer to recover from all this. It took me around 5 years to regain a quality of life which allowed me to say, okay, this is a life worth living. I was completely lost and had to learn how to live a normal life. To give you some examples, I didn't know how to pay my bills, not because of financial issues, but because I just didn't learn how to do it. I didn't know how to eat healthy. I didn't know what I liked. I didn't know what an accurate portion was. I didn't know when I was hungry or full. I was always hungry because I constantly suppressed my body. I didn't know what hobbies I liked. I didn't have any friends besides my friends in gymnastics. And if I talked to a person who wasn't an athlete, I didn't know what to talk about. And it took me quite some time to figure out what to chat about. I couldn't talk about my gymnastics skills anymore. I couldn't talk about my coach anymore. I remember waking up one morning, the alarm clock rang. I stayed in bed and asked myself, why should I get up? There's no one waiting for me. I don't have any tasks, nor do I have goals in life. So why get up? And this was the point where I realized that I was having suicidal thoughts. And this was the lowest, yet the turning point in my crisis. I realized I immediately needed new goals, adequate goals, which would make me get up in the morning, which would give me a purpose in life. But of course, this isn't something you do and change in one day. It took me quite some time to figure out how to structure my days and how to set my goals so that they were doable and healthy for me. I was followed by a psychiatrist and had to take medication for quite a long time until I was able to function at the normal level again. And still today I seek help from a psychologist, not only in times of crisis, but as I treat my body with daily gym sessions. I finished my Matura when I was 27, I studied sports science and did my bachelor's degree in physiotherapy. Today, I retired 13 years ago, and still I'm not as resilient as I used to be. I know I'm getting older, but still. And as hard as the experiences of my crisis was, I am happy and grateful it happened to me, because if it didn't happen, I would still be running and chasing after my goals without being aware of the fact that my mental and physical resources are not infinite. Today, I work as a physiotherapist in psychiatry, and I'm doing my master's degree in psychology. Besides that, I'm continuing to live in search of finding my way back to the little rebellious Ariella. I have taken several major steps towards that little girl. I came out as a queer woman. I cut my hair short. And I decided never to wear high heels nor a dress again. So that's my internal goal. That's my internal goal. My external goal is to become a psychologist and to destigmatize mental illness in our society, but especially in sports. To the people listening today who feel like they have to fit into a stereotypical box, take the time to listen to your body and mind and be self-compassionate. The journey of finding your true self isn't a quick tumble, rather it's a lifelong act of finding your balance. It's a walk on a narrow, sometimes wobbly balance beam. Don't be afraid to seek help, to set boundaries, and to prioritize your well-being. And above all, remember, you are enough exactly as you are.